lo yumedu on milkama, lo isako yao goikebe, lo yumedu on milkama. Hey, oh, hey. Oh, ay, la, 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 la. Ay, na, 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 la, la, la. Ay, na, 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 na. Ay, na, 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 oh, Welcome everybody, Shabbat Shalom. We're gathering here in our numbers. It's beautiful to connect in this way. Please access the chat bar function so that we can hear from everybody who's gathered together for Shabbat. And we are just getting ourselves ready and prepared to pray with this melody. Please sing along. Hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey. Hi, na, 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 la, 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 la. Hi, la, 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 la. Hi, la, 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 la. Hi, la, 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 la. Hey, oh, hey.
Shabbat Shalom, friends. It's wonderful to be with you. Even though I can't see your faces, I can picture them now. I can imagine our words, our music, our spirit, and my dog all going out into our homes, your souls, and our spirits. You know, I've been thinking a lot about what Shabbat means during a pandemic when every day kind of seems the same. You know, Shabbat's supposed to be a day that's different from the other days of the week. And typically that's true. You work or you have other activities and then you can take a rest and appreciation on Shabbat. But for many of us, the days are quite similar. So we have to be more deliberate about Shabbat. We can't let it pass us by. There's this wonderful Hasidic story about a rabbi who's looking out of a window and he sees a busy guy running across the street. And the rabbi yells out and says, "What are you doing?" And the man goes, "I'm rushing to make a living." And the rabbi says, "Well, how can you be sure that your living is not rushing towards you? And all you have to do is pause and let it catch up." So today's a day when we can pause, really pause, not just worry, not just express that concern we all feel, but pause and let our blessings catch up with us so we can really savor the spirit of Shabbat. Cantor?
Indeed. And now we turn to words of our psalm as we welcome one another to this sacred gathering with these words, Hine Matov. Hine Matov Manai שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב עליי, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. And it's wonderful to be together virtually like this. And we watch word of our faith, the Shema. I was talking about this, that the words of the name for God, Yud He Vav He, are unique in Hebrew. They can actually be vocalized. They can also be silent. So one of my teachers taught us that the way to pronounce the unpronounceable name of God is just to breathe, just to be. And so as we sing Shema in our own places, just breathe and be into the moment of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Evoeh.
The Mi Chamocha is one of those prayers that we say 3 times a day in traditional Judaism because freedom is so central to who we are. But as I think Rabbi Ike will be teaching us a little bit later, there's a lot more to freedom than just what we think about when we saying being free to do whatever we want. Freedom is a spaciousness of mind and the freedom to choose, the freedom to envision a different future. And so all of us have that freedom, even if it doesn't seem like we're always free to do exactly what we want. The most important freedom, the freedom to believe, to imagine, to build a better future, that's still ours to cherish and to use. And so let's sing that song for freedom, the Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha, mi chamocha boi limadon, mi chamocha nedar bakodesh, mi chamocha boi limadon, mi chamocha nedar bakodesh. Nora, nora tehilonu sefele. Nora tehilonu sefele. Adonai loch leolam go'eh. Hai lai 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 la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Nora tehilonu sefele. Nora tehilonu sefele. Adonai yimloch leolam go'eh.
We We turn to words that are written only in our own hearts, in our own minds. We take a few moments for our own private prayer and meditation to just be in the moment and to share Shabbat. And since many of us are in our own places, you know, you can pray your silent prayer out loud. You're all on mute. So go ahead and speak to our Creator. You can speak your desires, you can speak your wishes, you can speak your prayers in your heart. You can speak them out loud. So we pause for a moment of private prayer.
Our Torah teaches us that just as Adonai, just as God is holy, that we too should strive to be holy. We should strive to bring that sense of special status and of that special relationship to one another and to the divine into everything that we do. So when we pray these words, Oseh Shalom, we call out to God as the creator of peace. And our prayer this Shabbat is, may we too strive to be like God in that capacity. May we too be agents for peace throughout the world. And let us sing together this prayer for Shalom. Oh, say Shalom. Oh, say Shalom b'mromah. Uyaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, me'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom b'mromah, Uyaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom b'mromah, Uyaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru amen.
You know, I think many of us are struggling with what we can do to help people during this time. You know, it's sometimes when there's an earthquake or a natural disaster, we can mobilize, we can raise money, we can go volunteer, we can help somewhere, we can get on a plane, we can get in a car, we can go and do something, we can rebuild homes. But right now, we're stifled. We can't really leave our homes. We can't leave our areas, but we want to help. We want to find a way to live our values. And one simple thing we can do is pray for healing. There's a power in prayer. It may not always seem obvious. It may not be as concrete and tactile as the work of our hands, but there are words from our hearts. In fact, the Hebrew word for words is devir, a devar, like a devar Torah, a word of Torah. A devar is a thing. Our words are things. The prayers we say make a difference. So even as we struggle to do something to help, we can lift and say our words of prayer to help others and to lift up ourselves. That prayer is the Mishaberach. I invite you to say the name of somebody you know who is in need of healing, who's in need of a lift up. And even as we say the names that are dear to us, we think about all those in our world, in our country, in our community struggling with illness, COVID-19, and all the other illnesses, all the other struggles that we face. We can lift them up with our words of prayer.
Misheberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Every day I try to begin my morning with a little ritual. I say a verse that's one of my absolute favorites from the Bible. Many of you have heard me say this before, from Psalm 118. Say, this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. But these days I've got a little more in my morning ritual. You know, I wake up and the first thing I think is, what day is this? What day of the week? What's the date? What's next on my agenda? It seems that our ancestors traveling in the desert had a similar problem. The days seemed undifferentiated. So they created an elaborate series of holy days and of songs that we sing at different times. In fact, not all of this goes all the way back to the Torah, but our tradition has a different nusach, a different way of singing for the weekdays and Shabbat. And the holy days have yet a different nusach, a different way of singing the same prayers sometimes, but with different melodies. And then in Pirkei Avot, it tells us to make a fixed time for study. For us, that's 2:00 every afternoon on the weekdays. So it's an opportunity for us to get together and study a little bit. The idea is to take this sort of unstructured time and give it some structure. So pre-quarantine, we all had our systems for organizing time and how all of that, and now all of that needs adjustment. My wife, who actually you can see behind me, and I'm glad the dog left because I think she was upstaging me a little bit, but now that she's out of the room. But my wife no longer has her daily commute on the train. That's like 3 hours of time that needs to be adjusted to a new routine. Gym for her is no longer at 5:20 in the morning. It's online at home around lunchtime. It takes a while. It takes practice to find a new normal ritual. It strikes me that Torah speaks right to this new situation we find ourselves in, and it advises patience. It took 40 years in the desert to be ready to enter the Holy Land. That's because while it only took a minute for God to take the Jews out of Egypt, it took 40 years to take Egypt out of the Jews. So change of any kind is a long and slow process. And our Torah portion for this week and more outlines the whole festival calendar as it was known back in those days. Hanukkah and Purim hadn't been invented yet, so those don't get mentioned, but all the other holy days and how to observe them are there. This was the real process of leaving Egypt. The section begins appropriately with Passover, our ancestors having had that experience in their recent past. And then it tells us to actually count the days, 49 days from Passover, 7 weeks. And on the 50th day is the holy day of Shavuot. Today is day 30 of the Omer, the 30th step on a journey that begins with redemption from slavery and goes to revelation at Mount Sinai. So think about that journey if you can. Imagine, as we're supposed to, that you were there among the people of Israel all those years ago. So 50 days ago, you would have been a slave in Egypt. Today, you are standing with Sinai, hearing and says, surely God's might is awesome. The experience is powerful. But after only 50 days from slavery, has your spirit really gotten to a place where you can truly understand, where you can internalize and act on this message? That's not the work of just a few days. It's the work of a lifetime. So it's up to us to take the experiences that come our way and use them to elevate our thoughts, our feelings, our personalities, to meet the challenges of greeting each day, recognizing it, and meeting the world with love. This year, as we count the Omer, while also counting our days in our homes, I think this might be day 51 for that. This is especially true. We can use each of these days to grow and become more perfect in our love and concern. Psalm 90 teaches us to number our days, that we may attain a heart of wisdom. So not just on quarantine day 51, but every day of our lives. So if you're impatient with yourself or with the world, take a deep breath today on this Shabbat. And remember that this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. When we count the Omer, we say this is one day, not the first day. In Hebrew, we say this is day 30, not the 30th day. Because it's not really about the series of days, because each day carries its own meaning and its own special blessing. Each day we hope to be a step closer to really receiving the Torah. There is a blessing for this. We thank God for the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Counting, numbering each day, day 1, day 2, day 3, is in itself a holy act. And in the blessing, the word for counting the Omer is sfirah. We pray al sfirat ha-Omer, thanking God for the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Sfirah should sound familiar to any of you who have studied a little Kabbalah with me or in any other place. It literally does mean counting, but it also describes those mystical vessels that God creates to disperse God's holy light throughout the universe, the Sfirot. So today represents not just 30 days of counting, but 30 days of that shining light, 30 days of Sfirah, of shining out. That is our potential. Each day, every day, one day, we can make our days count by beaming our holy light out into the world. Can you hear out some? May this be God's will. Amen. We can say the blessing for the counting of the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav b'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Today is day 30, which is 4 weeks and 2 days of the Omer.
Amen. We count the days, and we also count the months and the years, and we count the yortzeit that we mark. You know, one of the ways we mark time is by remembering the time when our loved ones passed away. And that's one of the things I think many of us miss most about being in the synagogue, is just seeing other people as we remember, as we say Kaddish. So know, if you are saying Kaddish right now for somebody, that you're surrounded virtually by a loving community that's here with you and supporting you and lifting you up as you remember our loved ones. And we've lost several over the last few weeks. We don't say names on this Zoom just because it's public, and we want to respect everyone's privacy. But there are names in our hearts right now, those who died at this time in seasons past and those who died more recently. And we remember them, we think about them, we cherish them in our hearts as we say the words of the mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Yatom. Please join us. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shemei rabbah mevorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Ose shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May God, the source of peace.
On Cantor Jay's meditation class, he sang a song, Gesher Tsar Ma'od, which means all the world. There's a narrow bridge. It's based on words from Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, one of the great Hasidim of past generations. And I prevailed on Cantor Jay to sing it again tonight, because part of it is about recognizing that we're all in this world together. We are all walking on the same narrow bridge. And though there is a narrow bridge, there is one secret to being able to walk on it, and that's not to have fear. And so please join as we sing Gesher Tsar Ma'od.
Kol haolam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. Kol haolam kulo gesher tzar me'od, Gesher tzar me'od. Me'haikar lo lefached klau. Me'haikar lo lefached klau. Ya elai, 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 Okay, here we are at the Shabbat table. Thank you to the Saradas for hosting us. And we are going to say our blessings for the candles and for the wine and for the challah. If you are at home and you have your Shabbat table waiting for you, we can make our way over there and prepare our Shabbat ritual objects. And it seems, are the candles lit, Sealan?
They are.
Okay, beautiful. Let us sing the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. And we raise our Kiddush cup as we bless the Sabbath wine. Let's sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim. And I know that Mavis is waiting for a piece of the challah bread, and so are we all. We raise up the challah, the braided bread, that reminds us we are all intertwined as we say these words of blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom b'tei avon. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I
Shabbat
only
shalom.
challah and wine with you, so but hopefully you're having some on your own. And we want to remind people tomorrow Torah study, of course, and also Sunday morning we have an adult enrichment. So if you're looking for something to do on Mother's Day morning, join us for a discussion about unorthodox on Sunday morning.
And we also have our Havdalah tomorrow evening. And Havdalah is one of those moments where we are Zooming together. All of our screens will be there. So we hope to see everybody tomorrow for our Havdalah blessings, and wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, friends. Take care. Stay healthy.
Thanks, you too.
And have a wonderful Shabbat meal.
Thanks. Stuffed squash tonight.
Ooh, sounds good.
Good night, you guys.
Take care, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yes, and we have a reminder. There is a Lag BaOmer bonfire for our Lev Learning community. It's at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. There's going to be lots of singing, some teaching. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's for our Lev Learning community. But if anybody is looking for a little inspiration and uplift on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, hope to see you there. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.